All right, guys. Friday morning, the Iceman here on the Iceman's Return YouTube channel. The morning after TNA Impact Wrestling, and I must say, I will say this, and I mean this in such a very profound way. Um, if Impact Wrestling was to air live every week, I think their ratings would soar to a lot newer heights than they do at this point in time, just for the simple fact that their TNA tapings, the spoilers get out, and a lot of people out there like to, sort of like spoil it for the people that, don't read spoilers. If you didn't see any spoilers on last night's show, you would have enjoyed it tremendously. I thought the show, again, from start to finish, was very, very good. The ending was totally awesome, and we'll get to that shortly. But basically, the show started off with Kurt Angle coming into the ring, um, wanting to tell the fans that he had a very lousy 2013. He wasn't deserving of the TNA Hall of Fame. So he's going to try to make 2014 a much better year, and this is the year for him to start kicking ass. With that being said, Bobby Roode's music hit. Bobby Roode came out and basically ridiculed Kurt Angle, um, and it was the same old verbal exchange by both of them. Uh, Kurt Angle wanted to challenge Bobby Roode one more time because Bobby Roode said that Kurt Angle doesn't have it, and Bobby Roode did accept the challenge, but with a stipulation that if he does defeat Kurt Angle will never accept the Hall of Fame induction, and he will leave TNA forever. Kurt Angle also added his stipulation to this. They will meet up at Genesis, and it'll be inside a steel cage. It took Bobby Roode a second or two to agree to this, but he did. And so we got Genesis coming up on January 16th. Angle and Roode inside a steel cage. So this is great. Um, but after that was all said and done, the two went after each other. Rockstar Spud came out and basically said that these two, if they wanted to brawl tonight, they're going to brawl in a tag team match because this was Dixie Carter's night. This was Magnus's coronation night, and there was no way Rockstar Spud was going to allow them to, really destroy any of that glamour and whatnot for the coronation. So Kurt Angle was have to pick a tag team partner, and as well as Bobby Roode. So yeah, so it was really a great start to TNA thus far. So I will jump ahead a little bit. Kurt Angle decided to take Gunner as a tag team partner. Bobby Roode, as of yet, didn't have a partner, but James Storm approached him. Bobby Roode said, "No way," blah blah blah. And James Storm said that we were teams together, and he wanted this, and he said one way or another, if he didn't pick him, he would interfere in some way or another, and he would be there to kick ass. So that was jumping ahead a little bit. So anyway, after the Angle segment, Dixie Carter was backstage, and she was talking about her perfect champion of Magnus, and that was cutting a promo. Now, she went into the other room after the producer said cut, and she was handed a note. And this note basically had said that it said, "See you tonight." So she gave it to Rockstar Spud to find out what was going on. Dixie's trying to figure out who is this? Who's saying all this stuff to me? So, anyway, that was a pretty good segment there thus far. So, so far running into TNA, I think it was, awesome at this point in time. So, all right. Gail Kim had her open challenge. Again, this was a non-title match. She came out with Lady Tapa. She was talking about how she's gone through everybody. Music hit. It was Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne came out and she went on to attack Gail Kim. A pretty good battle back and forth while Lady Tapa was outside the ring. And again, Madison Rain showing that she hasn't lost anything since being away. And she ended up getting Gail Kim on a roll up for the pin. And now it looks to me she is the #1 contender for the TNA Knockouts title. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there because you know darn well sooner or later Gail Kim is going to get her due, and I'm still waiting to see what Lady Tapa's going to do because I think Lady Tapa's going to end up getting the Knockouts Championship eventually. So we saw backstage after that, Velvet Sky was getting ready, and Chris Sabin, oh God, he's so arrogant. Um, uh, he basically told Velvet if he didn't leave tonight without the X Division title, he was going to leave there without her. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Will Velvet Sky, interfere and cost Austin Aries the match? Well, the match started, and Chris Sabin was talking to Velvet Sky, and she reluctantly told him, "This is your match. This isn't mine. You have to do this on your own." And of course, Chris Sabin wants no part of that, and he basically tells her, either you do what I ask you to do, or else I'll find somebody else that will. And the match went back and forth. It wasn't a long match as I really expected. Aries was controlling this match totally throughout. Sabin was trying to get Velvet Sky to come in and interfere on numerous occasions. She reluctantly um, didn't do it. I mean, I shouldn't say reluctantly. She just didn't do it. And finally, Sabin was getting on her case really drastically. And Velvet then reluctantly got on the ring apron, and Austin Aries was basically telling her, "Get down, you're going to get hurt." It was just enough time for Chris Sabin to get a small package on Aries and end up becoming the new X Division champion. Velvet Sky was just standing there in like you know in pain, basically telling Austin Aries, "I'm sorry." But in any event, she did interfere just by getting on the apron, and it cost Austin Aries the match. So, now we have a new X Division champion, and I'll be honest with you, um, when Chris Sabin first came back to TNA, I was really happy to see him back. But now his heel character, I mean, it's a pretty good storyline for the simple fact is he's got to use Velvet Sky to get involved in order for him to get his victories. So we're going to see probably something, come to a head sometime soon because I think Velvet Sky is going to have enough of the arrogance of Chris Sabin because he basically said he wanted to thank the person that made this all possible. Velvet thought it was going to be her. Chris Sabin basically thanked himself. So that was a slap in the face to Velvet Sky. So anyway, Rockstar Spud got a phone call. I guess he got like 4 or 5 throughout the day. He answered the phone. Nobody answered. He's trying to figure out, well, what's this all about? And, you know, we'll probably have to find out a little later on in the show. So then we had the arrival of Samuel Shaw coming into the ring in, you know, dressed in a shirt, pants, and boots, putting on gloves. He asked Christy Hemme to leave the ring. Um, and outside the ring, she announced that his opponent was going to be Norv Furnham, a guy that, you know, he's a very small, skinny man, but he is quick within the ring. And of course, this is one of these guys they bring in to job to the guys they're trying to push, like he did with EC3. And tonight was no different. He ended up taking him out, pretty easily. So he left the ring and then he stares down Christy Hemme and heads off to the back. So we move on. James Storm, like I said earlier, wants to be Bobby Roode's partner. And Roode basically saying to Storm, prove to me, why should I trust you? blah 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 blah. And the thing of it is, it's Storm that shouldn't trust Rude because Rude's the one who used the beer bottle to end up defeating James Storm way back when. So anyway, we move on. The tag team now comes up. Kurt Angle and Gunner versus Bobby Roode and James Storm. And I'll have to say this: this was a pretty interesting match. It was sort of nice to see Bobby Roode and James Storm teaming up again as they did once before with Beer Money. So it was a pretty good match. It went both ways. Storm and Roode at one point teamed up and did a double suplex. Um, it was awesome. It was just good to see because they were such a great tag team. But Angle, you know, and Gunner, it looked like they were going to end up getting this match, but it wasn't until James Storm ended up kicking Gunner in the face when Gunner had Rude in the gun rack, and then Rude drops Gunner off his shoulders with a neck breaker, and he got the pinfall. So a pretty good match. And again, you know, another loss of a match for Kurt Angle, but at least he didn't get the pin. So then we went on. There was a segment backstage, I believe. Rockstar Spud. He thought Sting had sent the letter. Sting had approached Rockstar Spud looking for Dixie Carter, basically saying that he's also looking for someone else who's Dixie's lapdog. And that was a pretty good segment there as well. And what had developed was, it's just gotten to the point where Sting wants to get himself involved in a match with EC3. And, I will say this: it did come down to the point where Sting was trashing EC3. EC3 was actually trashing Jeff Hardy at first, and Sting basically came to the Hardy rescue. But it came down to EC3 basically saying that, you're not going to manipulate me. This isn't going to happen. And Sting kept saying that EC3 was Dixie Carter's lapdog. And Ethan Carter III finally agreed to a match with Sting, but he said it'll be at Genesis. So that should be a very good match as well. Looking forward to seeing that. Then we saw an interesting segment with Bully Ray and Joseph Park. Bully Ray coming out with his dark side look with the hooded jacket and whatnot, and Joseph Park coming to the ring. Joseph Park was pretty much ready to start this battle, and he was reluctant to really move in on Bully Ray. As he finally got closer, Bully Ray kicked him between the legs. Park went down, and then Bully Ray proceeded to pull out some lighter fluid and squirt it all over Joseph Park. Then he was going to pull out a lighter, and all of a sudden, Mr. Anderson's music hit. Anderson came out, saved Joseph Park, but again, Bully Ray sprayed Anderson with the lighter fluid. Nothing actually came out of all this. Bully Ray slowly exited the ring and walked away. So it leads us to believe there's more to come in the upcoming weeks. So I thought that was pretty good. So anyway, this leads up now to the time for the coronation, and this was a great segment. I thought this segment was excellent. The champion Magnus comes out with Rockstar Spud and EC3, and then EC3 announces his Aunt D, Dixie Carter. She comes out and she's praising Magnus. Magnus gets on the mic and he's trashing the fans. And it's sort of, it was interesting because we haven't really seen Magnus as a true heel for a very long time. And now that he is, it was definitely interesting. I thought he did a pretty good job as a heel. And, he went on, bashing, the fans and whatnot, and saying that he is the true champion. And then Gunner's music hit, and he walked out holding his briefcase and said he wanted a title shot right now. Well, Magnus was no way going to allow this, and Dixie Carter as well. She said to get Gunner out of the ring, and it just went back and forth. They were just getting involved with each other, and then all of a sudden, AJ's music hits, and here comes AJ Styles, and I think the crowd went nuts. And AJ cut a promo on Magnus and holding up his TNA World Heavyweight title belt, which was great. Like I said, I don't read spoilers for the most part. I didn't know something of this nature was going to happen because someone had sent me a spoiler by accident and I had read it. But this segment was awesome. AJ Styles telling Magnus, basically, you won't believe that you're actually the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. You're going to have doubts in your mind until you wrestle me, the real TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And this segment just was electrifying. Dixie saying it's not going to happen, trying to get AJ out of the ring. It just went on and on and on. And Magnus finally agreed to a match next week. 2 belts, 1 champion for the TNA World Heavyweight title, because Magnus said, I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm going to prove all you doubters wrong, all you TNA fans, and everybody else. He said, I'm going to prove that I am truly the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and with 2 belts on the line next week and 1 champion, he goes, I will come out on top. The show ended. It was a great segment by TNA. It was a great segment by AJ Styles. I mean, you couldn't ask for more. And if you didn't read any of the spoilers on this show and you had no clue what was going on, this was absolutely a great show. So again, spoilers are hurting TNA. I think TNA needs to put on live events, because if these shows aren't taped, the spoilers can't get out there and the ratings will soar to newer heights, because I think TNA is doing a very good job in what they're doing. And this was the first show in the new year, and I'm going to tell you something right now, the Iceman loved it. So there's my review on the show last night. Hope you all enjoyed it. Peace out, everybody, and enjoy yourself this Friday. Take care.